Hello guys, welcome to my humble YouTube channel where I bring you fanfiction that will brighten your days. Before we start, a subscribe is greatly appreciated, and don't forget to leave a like and ring the bell icon so you won't miss exciting new fanfiction stories. The Saint of War, Tensura x DxD, by Kischur Chapter 5. In the room of Seal Tempest, both Seal and Gabriel sat in the middle of the room, with them being in both the Caesar position. Mom, I want to live with the rest of humanity on Earth. Gabriel, hearing that, she could only widen her eyes in shock and in fear. She was in shock at what she heard, and on what he wants, and in truth she wanted him to leave the supernatural world altogether, not wanting him to be a part of the chaotic and messed up life of the supernatural. But she was also fearful as well, since as his mother, she too also wants to spend time with him as much as possible, and do things that would be like any other mother and child as well, like acquiring grandkids, listening in the problems of her child and giving advice and such. But she also knows that she can't keep him here forever. She knows that Seal is an extremely curious child since birth, so she knew that this day would eventually come up, on where he would be curious about the rest of humanity and would want to live with them. I see. If that is your decision, then I shall not stop you, but please, do contact me as well. Gabriel informed of Seal, on who only nodded at her words, fully intended on remembering that promised for the rest of his long life. But before that though, I do plan on becoming an exorcist as well. Huh? Bu, but why? Gabriel asked in curiosity of his answer, while also there was a hint of disapproval as well in her tone, not wanting her child to be sent in the line of war, because of the saying of old men. To this, Seal only projected the entire globe in between the two, causing both of them to look at it, with Gabriel patiently wanting for her child to answer. Currently, both the supernatural world and human worlds as in a tense political state right now, with the chances of war happening any moment now as well. Because of that, I want to join the war, so that the casualty of the exorcist side wouldn't be that high as well. Seal said his reasons for joining the exorcist to Gabriel, who only looked at him with clear uncertainty in her eyes. Seal, how did you learn of the rising tensions of the world? Gabriel asked, wanting to learn how and why he has learned of it himself. I learned it in the library, when I started to read the political and war section of the library, with them also referencing this date and year of the rising tensions and arming up and training of armies. Gabriel, learning of this fact, could only flinch and constantly flinch her eyes in annoyance at the books of the library, but chose to not do anything, since it seems that the library has a recovery function in which no matter how much one would try to destroy a certain subject in the library, the book and subject would just return like nothing ever happened to it. And besides that, political and war books are important as well, so she can't truly do anything to it. Even she knows of it. She just came to hate that her son has learned quite a bit of politics and war, which is something that she doesn't want him to learn, or at least don't become like a cold politician and war commander at least. But still, as a human, I want to at least spend some time or even lived on Earth, and in order to do that, I need to at least weather the storm of the upcoming war that would be coming in from both the supernatural and human worlds. Seal continued on, causing Gabriel to simply slowly nod at his words. I see, I do want you to live your life after all, so I wouldn't stop you like I said, and I wouldn't stop your decision as well in joining the war as well. Even if I want to stop you, you would probably be able to step into the battlefield anyways. Might as well place you in a spot that wouldn't acquire much action, and so, is there something that you would want? Gabriel said, while also thinking on what spot is the most appropriate in sending her precious son in as well, but considering that she could very easily see emotions and souls, she was able to easily see that Seal wants something else as well. Seal, hearing this, could only remember Gabriel's innate ability to see souls, something that is accessible in every spiritual life form. Even Seal himself could see souls as well, but Gabriel's affinity to it is extremely high, to the point that only Gabriel could actually realize one's emotions and intent as well. It was an ability that even Seal couldn't learn in the library, since there was no one else but him in there, and that there wasn't a book detailing how it is actually done, with Gabriel herself not also knowing how it is done, with her just doing it out of pure instinct rather than skill or knowledge. I would also like to explore the human world to gather more knowledge and wisdom, since I wouldn't really learned everything in books, so I want to explore the world as well before the war. Then there's also other pantheons as well, but considering the rising tensions, I would probably not go to other pantheons directly, just to their countries that they have influence in, Seal answered, causing Gabriel to think upon hearing his words. So Seal wants to leave now to explore the world? Well, considering the potential war and the building up of armies and defenses as well, so there should be about 3 to 4 years before the war begins, both in the human world and supernatural world, so I don't mind doing it now. Besides that, this would also ensure that Seal would return in 3 to 4 years as well. So I don't mind supporting him here. Gabriel thought, not even minding on supporting Seal, since the fact that Seal was able to keep up and defeat Uriel already speaks volumes of his power and skills in battle, so she was sure that not many would actually fight him, and with the war being priorities, most of the powerhouses of each factions, pantheons, would obviously train either themselves or the military to become stronger and have a higher chance in victory in this war. The only thing she was not sure about was the pesky gods that would go to him because of his beauty. Since even as his mother, Gabriel has to admit that Seal is a heavenly beauty that surpassed most, if not everyone in terms of beauty, she was sure that the only ones that actually don't think of him as attractive, either has their head screws loose, having completely different beauty standards to everyone, or just doesn't care and be the same as her, who much more priorities the beauty of the soul rather than the physical appearance. Well, not like there are many out there that much more focused on the soul's beauty, Gabriel thought, while remembering that as an extreme few that actually do care of the soul, with Hestia being the most notable one outside of herself. Very well, I shall accept your wishes on this, of course. As for which country you are allowed to go, I would be the one to decide that, since with the rising tensions, it is extremely difficult to go to other human countries, especially those that have a pantheon. Very well, I don't really mind. Seeing that he has agreed to her condition, Gabriel could only smile happily at that, with her deciding to hug him and kissed his forehead a little. Good. I will be informing your uncles, so do wait for me here. With that, Gabriel left the room, with her rushing towards the meeting room, where all archangels are currently in. Seal, seeing this, decided to grab a wooden sword to train some more, and to wait for their arrival. When Gabriel arrived in the meeting room, the meeting began. First off, Gabriel, what did Seal wanted to talk with you about? Michael asked the question every last one of them wanted to know, since it is quite rare for the both of them to talk serious business after all. Seal wants to explore the human world and lived amongst them, but considering the potential war that would be happening, he decided to join the war as an exorcist. Hearing Gabriel's words, most of the archangels could only sigh, relieved at her words, since they knew that they're underarmed and undermanned, so they need all the people that they could get after all. The only ones that wasn't all too happy to this arrangement was Raphael, Sariel and Riguel, but considering that Seal himself was the one who appointed this, they couldn't ignore his wishes, but they did promise themselves to keep watch of his position in the war though. I see. So he wants to live with humans after the war then? Uriel said to himself, with a nostalgic look, since he too also wanted to live with humanity all those years ago, especially with his lover back then. But he decided not to though, deciding to live on Earth for as long as his lover lived. That's right, but before that, I need to discuss something else as well. Gabriel, seeing what they think Seal was going to do, Gabriel decided to clarify everything first, before they think of something else. What is it? Metatron asked, since he does want to train with Seal, so that they could get ready with the war after all. It's well, Seal wants to leave now and explore the world before the war, Gabriel said. And much like she thought would happen, they all were all too surprised by that. What? Hold the phone. What did Seal plan to do? Raziel questioned Gabriel, who only gave him a tired look and just nodded, causing Raziel to sigh and lean on his chair. Welp, I'm sure you obviously accepted that. To this, Gabriel could only slowly nod at her little brother's words, causing Raziel and Sandalphon to sigh at that, but they didn't said anything since they know of Gabriel's nature and Ciel's as well. Gabriel is far too soft on Seal, and Seal is far too curious around him, causing Gabriel to almost always give him anything he wants, which isn't much really, and most of the things that he did ask for, was things they could easily provide as well, so for the most part they didn't really oppose Gabriel's doting nature towards Seal. Why did you agree, Gabriel? Seal is far too young to travel, and besides, with the war going on, something might happen to him. That's right. With the potential war going on, which would happen anytime soon, something bound would definitely happen. Sariel and Riguel commented as well, with them being far too against with Seal leaving this early on, especially with how young he is. Raphael on the other hand didn't said anything to Gabriel, only choosing to glare at Gabriel, which worked far too much compared to the voices of protest between the duo of Sariel and Riguel. To this Michael could only sigh and was about to try to denounce and deny of Ciel's leaving, especially with the war going to happen anytime soon now. He wanted to disagree and postpone Ciel's travels, but before he could voice something out, a voice rang out in his subconsciousness. Opening square bracket re acute n single quote ta diaresis llowdtdtdenymstr single quote swi grave se acute dchal fta diaresis cce acute pcel single quote joneyhrea diaresis nnow a tilde ndgra ring above thmawepo acute nae acute qupmentthatwoldelpedimisju grave rny closing square bracket. No one heard of this voice, except for Michael himself, who only acted to fulfill what the words came to him. When does Ciel plan to return?
Michael. Michael questioned Gabriel, wanting to know how long Ciel would be out, but in doing so, caused the others to yell out him in disbelief at him letting Ciel get out of the safety and comforts of heaven. Just let Ciel choose for himself, and besides, we don't need to worry far too much to Ciel, since he did beat Uriel in a fight, so he should be ready if a supernatural were to try to fight him. Michael tried to convince them, with Uriel only nodding at that, since he couldn't really deny that he did lose that spar. Well, he did said that he would let me decide his destinations, so he would allow me to make him the plan himself, Gabriel informed, and in truth that was also something why she proposed it to Ciel, since with her plan, she was sure that he would be able to avoid any non-allied entities, or at least minimize it as much as possible. Remiel, hearing this, decided to speak to Gabriel. Then, where do you intend to take him to? There's also a need for a guardian. Do you have someone that could be a guardian for Ciel? Remiel questioned Gabriel, who only nodded at his words, causing him to nod happy that she has thought ahead. I planned on contracting the Norse, Pendragon and Faiz to let them know that Ciel would be going towards their countries first. Since we are allies with them, they should allow us after all. After that would be the Americans, since there is no living pantheon in the Americans. I think they're the safest place to be for Ciel. Then after that would be India, which is currently occupied by the Hindu pantheon. But considering their tendency to accept new supernaturals and don't want to mess with others, it should be good as well, and lastly would be Japan, since we do have a good relationship with them as well. As for his guardian, then Jibril would be good enough. Since they do have similar interest after all in learning new things, Gabriel revealed. Causing them to agree with her choices, with the females being very reluctant in actually placing Jibril as his guardian though. But couldn't say anything since Jibril is Gabriel's joker after all, and her strongest trump card, especially after the Brave Saint technology has been completed, causing Brave Saints to be able to pass the threshold of throne stage angels, and with the increase of the limits, Jibril's power has been on the rise as of late, with her nearing to become another archangel as well. With that, they then continued the meeting discussing their war potential, which is now added with Ciel as well. Of course with the potential of him not being able to join the first battles though, with him being away as well. Of course, they also decided to try to increase the production of the training cabins as much as possible, since they are off high demand for themselves, since they need to strengthen their soldiers as much as possible. And after a few hours, the meeting was over, with Gabriel going towards the armory to acquire a perfect blade for Ciel to use. Back in Ciel's room, Ciel was currently resting after training for a tiny bit, but even that tiny bit was immense gain from him, which is both largely thanks to his immense talent and his grace, which allowed him to make huge progress in his skills as a fighter. So I could also use my grace this way as well. But still though, what is the limits of a grace? Ciel couldn't help but question himself on this, and evaluate his grace once again. The grace mind is a useful ability, with it being classified as an omni-type, with it being able to work in most, if not all situations if used correctly, especially in studying and training, with it allowing him to alter his own form and such to be better than it previous was as well. I need to explore the world and absorb different styles of combat, to strengthen by swordsmanship and style, Ciel thought, since despite training and absorbing everything that the library could offer, there are some knowledge and skills that wasn't just inside of the library. Like for example would be the fighting style of other factions and pantheons wasn't in the library, so things like weapon arts and martial arts wasn't something that he could learn. of course he did learn the human version of techniques, like the Japanese katana among other things. But things that is a part of the supernatural on the other hand, was an entirely different hand, so things like the fighting style of various supernaturals couldn't be learnt from the library, with the only ones being the supernatural fighting arts of the church, and heaven was the only thing available to be learnt. It's because of that, he wants to leave heaven right now, and to go and explore the whole world, to both experience it and have some normalcy in his life, much like what Gabriel wants from him, and to learn the other factions' pantheon's skills, fighting arts and among other things as well. Knock. Knock. Seal, it's me. Hearing the happy voice of his mother, Seal focused on the door and replied. Sure, come in. With that the door opened and it revealed Gabriel walking with a familiar angel by her side. Jibril. Seal thought, remembering the woman, when she goes to meet his mother, and when she took care of him when no archangel could take care of him. She has long purple-pink hair that reaches down to her knees and two white wings protruding near her hips. Her pupils are purple surrounded by gold iris. Her ears are wing-shaped and she also has a halo over her head. She usually has her midriff exposed and wears a long skirt. She has also a slim and well-endowed body. She has the physique of that of a 17 to 18-year-old, but in actuality is much older. Jibril, upon seeing Seal, smiled and rushed to his side, with Gabriel just smiling, seeing this sort of development quite often with the female angels, no matter the rank, and with how they treat him, she is entirely fine with it. Well, it's good that Seal has quite a lot of friends though, so it's fine, Gabriel thought, while looking at Jibril hugging Seal. Seal, it has been quite a while now. Have you been all right in the library? Quote. Yes, I learned quite a lot in the library, so why are you here? Quote. Hearing Ciel's question, Gabriel decided to inform her son the arrangement of things for his journey, while also revealing a particular sword that Ciel has seen from time to time in his time in the armory. Wait, isn't that, Ciel, your journey has been known by the archangels now. With that, we have decided that you need a guardian to overlook you, to make sure you're safe and sound, and that everything would work smoothly for you, so with that, Jibril would be your guardian for this journey. I will do my best. Quote. As for your path, well, Jibril already knows of it, so I will tell you now, your destination would be Norway, then England, then the United States and India would be the stopping point, and as for the time for each of your stay, well, that would be up to you to choose though, Gabriel finished to Ciel, who only nodded accepting what was said to him. Well, it is understandable as for why Jibril was chosen to be my guardian, Ciel thought. In truth, he wanted to be left alone for this journey, to fully explore everything, but considering him to be a child, he also fully expected them to give him a guardian as for who to guide and protect him, while also acting as his adult or parental guardian so that nothing would happen and everything run smoothly as well. And of course, they also need someone powerful and smart enough to also be useful for him as well, with the requirement of being near or at archangel level at least to be powerful to be useful in a potential fight with other supernaturals as well. Well, can't be helped, Ciel thought while eyeing the sword that was besides Gabriel, who noticed and couldn't help but giggle at his gaze. Well, Ciel, it seems that you noticed the gift that we decided to give you in this journey, Gabriel said, and then grabbing the hilt of the sword and then presenting it to Ciel, to be seen and to be used in battle. This is the 7th sacred relic, a holy and fire magic sword. It is a unique class equipment with it being quite handy in a fight, and the main weapon for most individuals in the high class to super class, so it should last you for quite some time. Gabriel told Ciel, while handing him the sword, which Ciel happily accepted. So this is now mine, Ciel thought while seeing the existence level of this weapon. Existence level, or existence value, is a ranking system that ranks individuals. And in truth it is widely used to scout out the power level of others and where they stand in as well. Of course, despite that though, it is not easy to see one's existence level though, with it being more done in a way of speculation, with it being very tricky to calculate and have an accurate level of, since physical abilities and magic is obviously in the mixed as well, but one could also just lower their true values or used spells or potions to enhance theirs temporarily as well. Then there's also technique, mastery and experience as well, which would also boost one's existence levels. It's because of that, many factions, pantheons has dedicated offices, government jobs to try and estimate the existence levels of many of fighters of other factions, pantheons as much as possible. Of course, there are also exceptions to this, with there being beings that could accurately measure one's existence level accurately, and the main examples would the Hindu gods with their mind's eye's ability that allows them to see the existence values that they see right in front of them. Of course, existence levels does missed out in a few things, which namely weaknesses in their assessment, which includes racial weaknesses, their personality, their priorities in life, and what they hold dear as well. These things aren't worth considering, which cause the smart ones to be able to kill an individual that has more existence level though as well. With that, Seal then gave the blade in hand some of his power to cause it to burst into powerful and hot red flames as a result, with said flames being strong enough to burn and kill mid to high class entities. Thank you, Mother. With that, Seal ceased the flames to be and then went to Gabriel to hug her, which the mother only replicated herself as well. It's quite alright. But to be careful in the handle of the sword. After all, Gabriel then touched the blade, and then tracing her fingers in the orange and energy-filled engravings of the blade. This is a one-of-a-kind weapon that was once used by Jesus to fight in the war back in the day as well, so it has his blood on it, making it quite a powerful holy weapon that could potentially match the Excalibur pieces in terms of power. Hearing her words, Seal could only sigh and looked at the weapon on his hand and then closed his eyes to indulge himself in her warmth. All right, I will be careful, Mother. With that, Gabriel deepened the hug between them, with Jibril deciding to leave the mother and son duo to themselves in said room. I know you will. 10 days later, after Seal and Jibril left for the Norse realm. Report. The Norse pantheon has requested for Seal Tempest and Bianca Atigina to be arranged for marriage. Quote. The archangels hearing the report, all just stopped from their work and looked at the messenger in surprised looked. What? Quote. Gabriel hearing the news, she couldn't help but sigh at the message, not even bothered by it. So it seems that a goddess or an important figure took fancy of his looks, Gabriel thought, since she already knew this would happen one way or another. Seal, what would come out of this journey of yours? I just hope that you wouldn't have some offsprings laying about in this journey.